Oh,
God.
Jesus Christ. Anyway,
If only we could share what would you say,
the
the
motivational background music that we always
songs
have. Yeah.
that gets us pumped. I mean, one, it's copyright reasons, but two, it's also, I think it's censorship, just being courteous.
One, it's just like, for the good of the earth, we should probably not put that on. So,
Do you want to give the?
sponsor any future sponsorship potential. Nah. We'll
It's
just say it's not PG, PG-13, NC-17, R-rated. It's up there. It's pretty funny stuff.
do you want to give the name of the artist, or is that giving away too much? You don't want,
No,
you're
we'll
too
let them
embarrassed,
ask
right?
us.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll let. No, we're not giving that. We're
If you
not giving
find
our
us in
secret.
person, we'll tell you what motivational songs we listen to
We
before
usually
the
listen
show.
to before we get started. There's a hefty list.
Motivational. Yeah, yeah.
Motivational.
All
Well,
right,
welcome to
guys.
yeah. So take it away. So welcome to another episode of the Nissan Nerd Podcast. Today we are going to be highlighting the features which make the new NISMO Edition Z so special. Also, this weekend is huge for us Nissan Motorsports fans, as we're going to tell you why. And lastly, Mike and myself are revisiting a segment called "Things You Should Be Checking Out" and "Shut Up and Take My Money." Welcome to the party. Let's get into the episode.
All right, guys.
Welcome back to another episode of the Nissan Nerd Podcast. Which number is this for anybody paying attention, Mike?
71.
71. Jesus
71,
Christ.
man. We keep on getting older and more experienced and
I'm
wiser.
in my
And
prime, baby. So, now, episode 71, it's been a long road, man. I can't believe we've been doing it this long. But you know what's fun? We enjoy what we do. We wouldn't do it without you fans joining us here tonight and jumping in. We really appreciate
yes,
all the support and continue to support as we continue to do what we do, which is keep keep the community flagship going strong. So we'll go ahead and get into tonight's episode. Mike,
yeah.
it's probably we usually do a little catch up here. It's been a minute. I guess we just did an episode last week, a little small episode,
Mm,
which turned into a mediocre
average
yeah,
show.
a
Yeah,
grande, not quite venti show last week, which
we
actually
did.
was pretty good. We primarily touched on Gran Turismo, little ZCON love, and
We did.
that's what we kind of touched on this last halfy episode. But again, we are touching a lot today, obviously, that we previously mentioned. Myself,
Yep.
since I talked to you last Thursday or Wednesday, whatever that was,
Thursday. Yeah.
um, I haven't really been doing too much, man. I'm just kind of getting prepared for this weekend. I'm gonna be in the garage, kind of just working on normal projects. And if you're nice enough, maybe I'll come over and help you finish sanding uh, your right-hand drive 300ZX, so we can finally get that damn engine bay finished, get an engine in it, and get it back on the Rizzoed. So we'll figure out what we're gonna be doing on that. If you tempt me with good food and bad liquor, so we'll
I can
go
do
from
that. I,
there.
c- I can do that, or if you do good liquor and bad food, that way you can't taste the bad food.
Either way,
Yeah,
good
yeah,
liquor, bad food goes. I think it is the better of the two. So we'll go from there.
yeah.
What have you been up to otherwise than that?
I'll be honest, man. I didn't think a lot would happen since we've only had 1 week since our last, mini episode there.
Mhm.
But a lot has happened. Not, it wasn't enjoyable. And if
Okay.
you'll allow me to rant for just a second here,
Oh,
man,
please.
it is okay. We're in the peak of summer right now.
Yeah,
Um,
today was a high. It was like 105 or 106 here in San
it's
Antonio. It was brutal.
we're setting records. I mean, last I
Yeah.
checked, we're setting these
Ow.
record highs. We're here in the Texas area, and it's just so brutally hot. And just this last weekend, I'm driving the car. Of course, I just replaced the entire AC system last summer. Sure enough, what ends up happening? AC goes out. It just cold 1 minute, hot the next, so fast, and it was I was pissed, man, and I was out of town too, so it meant going the entire weekend without AC, trying to get home. and
You were gonna be like this guy.
pretty much. You know, if you don't care what people think on the freeway when you drive without a shirt on, and
Just let it
I
all
didn't go
hang
that
out.
far. I didn't
Let
go
them
that
all
far.
let them flap in the wind. It's all right.
Well, let me tell you what makes me so mad about this. Okay, well, never mind the fact that I just did a repair, or I just redid the entire AC system last summer. I know exactly what happened. Well, sorry, I'm 99% sure what happened. And honestly, in my opinion, it's somewhat of a flaw that Nissan did this. And of course, we're talking about the 350Z, and I also looked this up. The 370Z is also probably known to have these issues, which is mechanically the AC system's fine, man. It's the essentially an AC relay that goes out. You know, like a typical relay, you know, it's just a little digital part
Okay.
decides when to turn off and on the AC clutch.
Okay.
Let's just call it that. What Nissan did though, it isn't a common relay. It's literally a
Aboard.
soldered on chip on a board that isn't. Yes, yes.
Yes. And
Ugh.
I'm assuming it is tucked away in a far, unattainable, unimaginable. You have to pull X amount of systems to get access to it.
You got to
Am I
remove the
wrong?
battery, the cal induction, you know, the cal area. You've got to dig in. Yes, yes. It's probably now if you do it pretty well, you could probably get it done within about let's say half an hour. But the
Well,
real
it's not bad.
problem, it's not too bad. But let me tell you why though.
Do you need little bird hands to do it?
If you remove the battery, maybe not so much. But you do need. Well, we'll find out. What the biggest trouble that I had last time I did this. So let me get back to this. I've done this before. That's why I have a very strong feeling why this is. Um, it's the connectors that plug in into this board. You know, it's 15 plus years that these things have been connected. Um, you know, let's say there's no dielectric grease in there or anything like that, or sometimes they're hard. It took me, and then it's because of its being in such a tight position, right? Trying to fit your hands to squeeze this little clip, multiple clips to get this thing out. It's a pain in the butt. But so here's the deal: the relay we're talking about, it typically isn't recommended to replace. You're not supposed to. It's inside this housing that's never meant to be broken or unsealed, you
So
know.
you have to buy the whole housing.
So you got to buy the whole
Is,
thing
is what it sounds like the conversation that I'm going to have at the parts counter.
at the dealership, right? Yes. But that's what gets me, man. You know me, I'm a frugal son of a, you know, I'm a frugal
You're
LP.
inventive. We'll leave it at that. So
To get a new part. Again, everything's good except for this one little relay. Depending on what year of 350Z you have, the price ranges between $550 and $1,100 for this board. And I've already looked it up. The relay is it's about a $2 relay that you buy and then solder in. So, what I'm going to be doing is doing my own DIY work.
you can use a
I have
house switch.
I have a second switch. Yeah, I have a second board that I have from last summer. Because again, this happened to me before already. I'm going to risk it. I'm going to unseal it. I'm going to clean it. I'm going to diagnose which relay it is, or just replace all of them at this point. Who cares? Um,
Send it.
and see and just cross my fingers and make sure that this thing doesn't that it works. Honestly, but yes. So again, just for those who know who are 350Z owners and 370Z owners, if for some reason you've got a perfectly working AC system mechanically. You've got all the freon in there. The pressures are just right, but the thing won't turn on. Nissan has what's called the IDPM, Intelligent Power IPDM, Intelligent Power Distribution Module,
Okay.
and it's inside this IPDM that this little soldered relay goes bad, and I'm gonna risk it, man. I'm not about to spend $1,100 for a replacement, man. So until then, I'm driving the truck. So
Hey,
the
you know how many
Z's
Pop Tarts
sitting.
that is? I mean, for the single man that you are, or
You know how many? I don't
well,
know about sing. I'm not. I
yeah,
don't know about single man,
well,
but the
not single.
ramen.
My
I was gonna
apologies.
say ramen. I
The
was gonna say
ramen,
ramen.
the ramen.
Yeah.
Yeah, they pay for in ramen. That's right. So my apologies. So,
But
but
anyway, I'm saying,
you're
yeah,
gonna get it done. Let's keep us updated. Let's see if you burn down the entire car, and or electrocute yourself or fix it. One, two,
I'll let
three.
you know if I'll let you know if I get an insurance claim from a fire or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if this,
if you see
or
me
if
on
we
the
have to
news,
do it, yeah, I'll let you know if it all burns
yeah,
down. Please no. So, but
yeah,
yeah, so that's what you're going to be up to. Kudos, because yes, it is redonkulously hot. And so, on that note, a lot of things are happening all over the world. For those that don't know, obviously we have these insane fires that are happening globally. But we know that one of the most recent like big news that's come out is obviously Hawaii had this massive fire.
mhm,
For those friends that we do have that are kind of suffering from some of the nightmarish conditions that have happened there, our heart and our condolences go out to those folks. We do have Nissan folks that were affected as well. I've been watching Instagram posts kind of come in from small tuner shops and Nissan enthusiasts who lost their complete vehicles, their shops as a whole. So again, anybody knows any of those folks, let us know. Or if they had fundraisers, we'll definitely do what we can to promote them here on the Nissan Nerd Podcast, in an effort to assist in any which way that we can. So just let us know. So
great stuff, man. Yeah. For those who are with us online, we see you guys. Thank you for being here. And if you would like to interact with us at any time during the show, feel free to find us in the comments. We can read them, and uh, if they're just good enough, we'll go ahead and share them or something like that.
yeah.
No vulgar, please. We got children on the show. No, I'm kidding. Right,
Not a
right, right.
problem. So
Yeah.
let's again, thanks for everybody for being on this one. I'm going to go ahead and do the comp by. Now we want to obviously do the comp by here tonight. This is going to be a salute to those in the Nissan family whom we wish good health, and to those we may have lost. We want to be reminded of them often. Also, our folks that are again suffering from some insane conditions that are happening due to fires and everything in Hawaii. So we're going to give a special shout out to those folks too as well. And
All
Mike, you
right.
also had a special kampai you wanted to throw out too as well, right?
I do. I do. So in our last episode, we were talking about all the friends and new friends that we met at ZCON. A good friend and awesome guy that I met there. I forgot to give him a shout out. So actually, what I wanted to do is say hi to our friend from Australia. We've got Glenn Baker out of Sydney, Australia. What was so cool is we're waiting and we're at the tech talk. We're about to try to get some things signed by some of the special guests, and just kind of struck up a conversation with the guy. And Glenn is a new, sorry, he owns the new Z. Um, Again, from Sydney, Australia. He's a pilot. He pilots 787, huge commercial airplanes. Um, just so happens that he had a few days, having flown from Australia to Los Angeles that specific week. Call it coincidence. He was able to join us for ZCon just a few weeks ago, and got to know him. Got to say hi, and actually, he is a part of the New South Wales Z Car Club, which is a recognized club of the Z Car Club Association. For those who see us, there he is. Of course, with Tomoto-san, the Nissan chief responsible for the new Z GTR amongst a laundry list of other sports cars. But that's the club's logo there. I told him, man, we'll definitely give him a shout out. I told him about Brad. If Brad's with us, we've got a bunch of fans or friends out of Australia. I told him, man, we definitely uh, just give him a shout out and say thanks for listening, and we encourage you guys to hang out with us as much as possible. And yeah, that's my shout out, man.
Well, very good. Let's go ahead and do a little kampai for everybody we just mentioned. So a little kampai, drink them,
Okay.
smoke them if you got them.
Boom, guys, join us if you got it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's go ahead and get into news here for the night. Mike, will let you take it away. You've got the first article for the night.
That's right, I do. Let's go ahead and get into it, guys.
Oh, before we begin, we got a few people that jumped on with us, started chiming in. Christine Hester, the Queen of Skillard, decided to join also with us here tonight. Thank you for joining, sweetheart. So glad to join this evening. In fact, the fires in our area canceled my usual Thursday commitment. So I'm able to
Oh man,
enjoy your great humans. Yeah, we love having you on as usual. I mean, stay out of danger, of course. Sorry that you guys are being affected up there. I totally forgot you guys had fires in your neck of the woods as well. So seems like
yeah,
it's unfortunately a common thing that we wish was not a common thing right now due to all the conditions of weather right now. So,
gotcha.
but we hope you
All
stay
right,
safe. Yeah.
yep, I agree, man. Well, let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Our first segment of tonight is Nissan News. This is where Miles and we each scour the internet for an article that we would like to share regarding Nissan, Datsun, Infinity. And because these articles can come from either Nissan media outlets or third-party journalists, really, as long as it's a credible article, we tend to go for it. So I'll go ahead and give out the first article, Miles. This one is actually just a picture I'm going to share. There's a few things I wanted to talk about. There you go. So, within the last few weeks, this is where Nissan debuted its Nismo Edition Z car. In fact, it debuted publicly here in the U.S. At ZCON. I was able to see this car firsthand. Beautiful car. There, for those who see it online with us, of course, we're looking at uh, actually a first year color of this. Typically, most Nismos are black, red, silver. This is that grayish blue, what they call like track paddock color, tribute. So, um, what I wanted to do tonight, though, is talk about the new Nismo Z and what makes it special. Honestly, I think we've been so busy, Miles, that we really haven't truly given it the time that it needs to give our feedback about it. So that was the point for tonight. Um, Tamuro-san again was at ZCon and gave a very very awesome presentation on what makes this car special. What I want to do is share some of those things, get your feedback, Miles, and for anybody's online, share your feedback with us. And at the end, what I want to do is, at ZCon there was a Q&A session after the presentation. And I won't lie, Tamura-san was asked some pretty hard questions, and in my opinion, he gave some tough love back to us, which I thought was impressive, and I want to get into that as well. So um, let's go and get into it. Again, what makes the Nismo Edition Z different? Of course, no matter what generation that you're referring to, uh, just to start off with, of course, Nismo Edition Zs get typically an exclusive exterior color or just a limited uh, color palettes. Like I said earlier, red, black, silver, or white, I think, are many of the common Nismo colors. There are also interior upgrades, which small little features, specifically the seats. The seats have always Nismo seats historically within the last 15 years, with the 350Z till now, have been highly sought after as an upgrade uh, for no matter what enthusiast you are. You've got lighter forged aluminum wheels as well, and then the other traditional like Nismo signatures that are put onto the Z. What I thought was important to share though for this segment was some of the improvements that are unique and of course significant. Um, that's cool, Miles. We'll go ahead and start off. I want to talk about the aerodynamics. Let's see if I get share my pictures here. Um, there you go. There you see uh, Tamuro-san talking about some of the aerodynamics here. What you can expect to see and feel from the new Nismo Z. Of course, you've got revised front and rear bumpers. You have a Nismo exclusive rear spoiler. It's wider than your common spoilers, and it's a three-piece spoiler as well. And then you've got some what they call a Nismo mesh screen as part of the front grille, and then you've got emphasized canard wings on the front bumper. And of course, all this results in improved airflow and downforce. You've also got, let's see what we got here. This is a wind flow picture here. Again, these are direct from from Tamuro-san's presentation at ZCon here. That is the rear bumper there. It's a piece spoiler, lightweight wheels. You've got a lower coefficient of friction because of it as well. Moving into suspension, though, you've got improved, of course, an improved suspension. You have improved shock dampening. One of the key words that was given was the letting the driver know about the what they call on the rail driving. You hear the phrase, "It's like it's driving on
I'm on
rails," right?
rails.
And literally, this was what was mentioned in the presentation. So the whole idea, I believe, was to give that on the rail driving ability without counter steer. So you're right on that line from a suspension, a driving aspect, being able to put this car through more stress yet still having control, as opposed to your non-Nismo models. Um, and I think you would agree with me on this too, Miles, which is the Nismo Edition Z is meant for the enthusiast, the driver's driver at this point.
Yeah,
It's
I would
probably meant to
agree.
be right. It would be more of a weekend car / track car as opposed to a daily driver. And a lot of these changes, they're improved for the driving experience, but you might have a rougher ride as opposed to a non-Nismo model. But that's what you expect when you're looking for the driving experience. This is the model you want to get. So you are going to have some trade-off between some of the softer suspension that you would get with a car with the base model, which is like more for daily driving. Um, Moving on here, though, of course, you do have a more rigid body structure and what they call a Nismo tuned steering system on this. And I believe it is because it is a digital, here you go, Nismo exclusive tuned steering system. It says here, high rigidity rack insulator. Let's see here, base assist map, driving mode, different modes as part of that as well. Again, for those who see us online here, we'll kind of give you a laundry list here of what of the it is quite a long list, the type of upgrades that are being made for the new Nismo. But
It looks like there's a adjustability in a lot of these, well, in some of these electronic components, where you can actually, I guess, take it from base mode, just like we used to do back, in the early '90s, and it's continued on to today. You've got your base models, your sport models, or sport changes that are going to be done to the vehicle. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of going through everything. It's fairly impressive. For everything that's coming out with it is impressive coming out with this new model. I didn't get an opportunity to go to it, but you actually had an opportunity to look at the vehicle firsthand and
yeah,
sit through this. So for those that are eyeballing this, it's like you were at ZCON and getting the presentation from Tamura-san himself. But what was your takeaway? I mean, did you have anything that you liked specifically yet, or
well,
anything that stood out to you?
I can think of two things, and it has to do so. And the reason why I think it stuck out to me is because after this car debuted, and then you just saw the internet react to what they were saying about this car, and I'll be honest, it was essentially complaints. It's complaints from the internet. Who thought,
About what?
and what I want to do. What's that?
I said about what? What's the major complaint
Well,
that the internet, in all its knowledge and all its wisdom, had to complain
yeah,
about?
there was two things. One is the Nismo Edition Z uh, isn't getting enough of a power boost from the engine, from its engine. The Nismo Edition, the number that's been floated here since this car debuted was that the Nismo Z only gets 20 extra horses at the wheel or at the engine. And although that number may be low, if you compare it to what the Nismo 370Z got, the Nismo 370Z got about 17, maybe 20 horses as well. So it's not new. It's not new news. But I think a bit of information that um, kind of went under the radar. What a lot of people aren't looking at, though, is that you get a more significant increase in torque as opposed to horsepower. I know horsepower seems to be the metric that everybody looks for, but let's not skip on torque here. So the Nismo Edition Z gets 37 extra pounds of torque than its performance model, and to me that's a significant number. So you are getting a bump in horsepower for sure, but torque is that seat of the pants. It's like that the rotational force of the wheel. I don't want. I'm learning out on that, but 37 pound-feet of torque, it ain't nothing. And so I think I would like people to know that this is what they're getting as well, in addition to all of the aerodynamic and suspension features, which we've mentioned before.
I mean, the great thing is the adjustability. I mean, obviously the aerodynamics have been streamlined significantly, and then you're getting quite a bit for your money as far as the modifications. I mean, the body also, they keep adding the rigidity level onto this vehicle. If you've noticed
They
that, I
do.
mean, we looked at the original base model, then we started looking at the added rigidity from the original 370 platform that it was derived from. We knew there was going to be some rigidity, and then the rigidity on top of that has been increased. So imagine what you're getting, when you finally get behind this thing. I mean, it's got to be all the suspension and articulation is going to be completely um it's just gonna read it's oh my god, the articulation, like you're gonna feel it all, and it's all gonna be directly in the suspension, which therefore can be modified, which if you think about it as a whole, you're getting everything that you want. You want the rigidity, as you want the chassis as rigid as it can be, and then the suspension to have all the adjustability for setting the right atmosphere for what you're about to do with that vehicle. And to have that straight with straight from the dealer with a turn of a key. A lot of people, when you first buy a car and you're starting to modify it, the thing you're always trying to chase, whether you think you are or not, at the end result is always going to be balance. And this vehicle has the balance. When you go out and buy, say, a twin turbo 300ZX, or you buy a 370Z, and you're trying to figure out what you want in the vehicle, at a certain point, as you grow older and you've gone through enough experiences with these vehicles, you're trying to chase that balance. You're trying to figure out, okay, is the suspension balanced for what I'm going to do with this vehicle? Am I going to be street driving? Am I going to be running through the twisties? Am I going to be applying this on the track? And each one of those sets up a car completely different. This is a good all around setting, especially with all the adjustability that you have within the vehicle.
Yeah.
The aerodynamics are perfectly balanced, not just slapping a big gigantic wing on it like some people do. They took the time to actually offset the front, which is what you need to do for aerodynamics. Nissan's no fool. They've been setting up and making powerful vehicles for a really long time, and for them to offer this in a Z again for a Nismo model is amazing. And these are all always highly sought after vehicles for a reason. The brand is exclusive.
Yeah. There's two things you mentioned, and I'm glad you brought them up. The first one is that, right, let's not forget just even when you compare your base model 370Z with the new Z, we've done that article or that feature in a past episode already. And you're
Correct.
absolutely right. The new edition Z is way more rigid than in multiple areas, especially at the hatch area and multiple areas compared to the 370Z. So it's more rigid just to begin with. And now with the Nismo Z, you're getting even more rigidity out of the thing. So it is very, very impressive.
Um,
And then, yeah, go ahead.
no, I was going to say on that note, Edgar Furman actually chimed in here. He goes, with the Nismo, to me, it's a car that is great out of the box that you don't plan to meddle with. But for a car you plan on building and customizing, a base or performance would be a better option. And I actually agree with him wholeheartedly. If you're basically you want to get out there and modify and just roll the dice on your performance, unless you know what you're doing,
Yeah.
I would say I would agree. Yeah, just go with the base model or an enthusiast package or performance package, whatever you're going to step into, whether it be 350Z or 370Z models. But if you really just
Mm-hmm.
want something out of the box and you're kind of new to it and you're new to driving, or you're not new to driving and you just want the best that you can get, from, and you want that bar to be
Plug
as
and
high as you
play.
can, and it's plug and play.
Yeah.
These Nismo models are amazing. Even the Nismo 350Z model was amazing. The for its time, it was a great car. The aerodynamics were insane. I mean, obviously they were very uh, different from what the stock baseline body was. 370Z Nismo model as well, same thing, out of the box, insane. I think they're still
Yeah.
following that brand and continuing to build on the Nismo brand, which I love, because I love to see the fact that we're bringing the brand back. And it never really went
Mm-hmm.
away. It
Mm-hmm.
just it went into hibernation for a little while, and then it started coming back with the Z33, stronger with the Z34, and now
Yeah.
extremely stronger now with the Z35, if you will. So
I agree.
if we're
I agree.
calling it Z35, so
Z- RZ
Z30
thirty four,
point.
RZ34, or yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, we're not going to get into that. So
ZR, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
34.5 or 35, whatever. So
Yeah. Um, Now the hot topic out of everything that Nissan spoke about and debuted about the Nismo Z, the the hottest topic of it all was that we've learned that the Nismo Z will not have a manual transmission option, which, I mean, people are up in arms about this, and I understand it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoy all my cars are manual, for God's sakes, Um, but before there was a so we were able to talk to Tamuro-san about that, and he gave a very, very good answer and a challenge to us. And I'll get to that in a minute here, though. But what I do want to say, though, about this automatic transmission is that it is not the same automatic transmission that you get in the other Zs. It too has been improved. And I mean, if anybody's online, correct me if I'm wrong. This is probably the first time that Nissan has actually improved an automatic transmission as part of a Nismo edition. I know, disclaimer, Nissan gave the 370Z Nismo an automatic transmission right around 2015, but I don't recall whether or not it was improved at that time, because most Nismos up until 2015 they were all manual. But about this transmission, though, I do want to talk about what makes it unique. And if I'll find the slides here, I'll include it. Um, let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. Is it there? No, it's not there. All right. So first thing is that Nissan is when it comes to the clutch plates inside the transmission, the number of clutch plates is increased for the Nismo edition. You actually have a shortened clutch stroke inside this transmission. So even though it's automatic, I mean, I'm not going to break down the logistics of what makes an automatic transmission work, but you do have clutch plates inside. You have clutch stroke uh, as well, and essentially it is a shortened clutch stroke inside transmission. I actually coined, and maybe I'm the first to say this, and I'll say it, but I'm calling this the short throw automatic transmission. Just that's what it feels like. It's like, again, like you know how the when you do have a manual transmission, you have that short throw shifter option. It's kind
yeah.
of like the same thing, but for an automatic. You can't see it, but it is different. What makes all this the metric, the results of all these changes, though, is that you do have a shortened downshift time. You're able to downshift faster by 51%, and I think that's a very, very significant number to talk about. Again, not
So
only are you getting
51% shorter shifting time.
yes, yes. I mean, granted, shifting times are typically in the range of milliseconds, almost, but to say it is a 1 second shift movement. Now it's half a second. I mean, and when you're on a racetrack, which is where you're going to put this Nismo Edition Z, or where you should put this, that's kind of what it's been built for, right? It gives you greater downshifting abilities. I believe the clutch engagement is actually better. So yes, if you were to compare a performance model Z with an Nismo Z, course, the Nismo Z is going to be faster. That is the improvement, you know. Um, so I do want to let people know those two things is that yes, 20 more horses, but let's not forget you're getting 37 more pound-feet of torque, and then you're also getting an improved transmission, automatic transmission, and it is only exclusive to the Nismo Z. You're not going to see this unless somebody, you know, that's going to be an interesting swap when you start seeing the used car market. Oh man, it's got a Nismo transmission. Like, how do you justify that? How can you tell? Like, uh,
I'm
that's going to
assuming
be a
it's
thing.
just like anything else. We'll have to get into castings, and until somebody actually puts their hands on it and starts to nerd out with it and take all the the photos, and we figure out what the difference is. And you know, I mean, it's got to be. It's not just going to be the transmission; it's going to be the computer system that interacts with it.
Yep. Yep.
Nevertheless, I'm assuming we're talking paddle shifting, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
You're in
obviously.
manual mode. You've got the paddle shifters. You're right, and I didn't mention that earlier. Though there is what they call special valve timing and new throttle logic as part of this Nismo tune. So yes, of course, the tune is hotter. It's a spicier tune, you might call it.
Spicy
With
tune.
this Nismo tune. Yeah.
Spicy tune. Got it. All right.
Now,
And
the last thing I
yeah, go
wanted
ahead.
yeah, the last thing I wanted to say, what I was getting to as part of this was that, of course, Tamuro-san at ZCON was asked as part of his presentation, why aren't you giving us a manual transmission? People, again, they're up in arms about this. They don't like this. And he was asked why. And his answer, again, I is impressed about it. It was very true. It was truthful, and it hurt, or it could. They say you can't handle the truth. This might be one of the truths that you can't handle. So there's multiple reasons that Tamuro-san mentioned. He goes, first of all, the demand for a manual transmission isn't enough to justify the economics of it. Now, and he says this. He goes, yes, we hear the enthusiasts say this all the time. He's not denying that people want it, but he goes, but we're asking for buyers, not people who want to talk about it. And that was like, ooh. And he said this. Tamuro-san said, he goes, if you find me enough buyers, I will do it happily. I will happily give you a manual transmission, but you've got to give me the buyers. And so that kind of statement to me was like saying, we're passionate about our Z car, but yeah, we're not ponying up. I think Nissan has done some great work fulfilling their end of a promise with the expectation that we'll respond and essentially buy these cars. And the impression that I get is, well, maybe we're not buying them fast enough or enough, again, to justify these economics and things. Um, Now, granted, it still seems that the Nissan Zs are still a scarcity at dealerships. I don't know the exact reason behind that, but I think there's something going on there that either can be resolved, or again, there's probably some reason behind it. Um, and then the
Well,
last, yeah, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, I mean, with everything that's happening with the market, needless to say, with the Z, I mean, we've got chip shortages. The Nissan's climbing out of the hole. They've got volume issues that there's people that want the vehicles. I mean, that is obvious for everything that we're seeing out there, and these vehicles are slowly trickling into market, especially here in the U.S. But you know, it was funny, just talking to people, usually employees from Nissan, and then other people. And then also, it's a generational thing. Not as many people even know how to drive standard. They're
Yeah,
getting into cars now that are like, hey, I really like the look of this. Just like we did.
yeah.
I mean, we might have gotten into them into Z's in the 70s or in the 80s or in the 90s or in the early 2000s or in the late 2000s, that we're diving into now.
Mhm.
But not everybody wanted a standard. And it's understandable. It's gut wrenching because it's what we wanted for the longest time as
Mhm.
enthusiasts and old school enthusiasts of that. But the reality is that every manufacturer out there that makes sport cars has cut back on standard transmissions.
Yeah.
I think it was Porsche that only sells about 23% of their vehicles. Their
Hmm.
Porsches, their sports cars, are standard are standard transmissions,
Hmm.
and they've cut back on that. And I think that, and I could be wrong on that number, but I think that's accurate.
Hmm.
And that number is only going and trending in one direction. Unfortunately, it's trending down.
Down.
So Nissan sees that, and I think even Toyota sees that. I mean, it's the brave new world, but it's crazy that we've put this much. If you think about how many years of evolution has it takes the automatic transmission from going to three gear setups to what they are now.
Yeah.
Amazing clutch interaction packs to, I mean, the modern automatic transmission is not what your grandfather drove.
It-
It's not
yeah.
on the tree. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
it's
Yes.
not on
Yes.
the column shift anymore, or it's completely different set of circumstances. And
I.
for you got to see this years ago, but I felt like Nissan put a pin in it for enthusiasts. And this is just me because I know the the chronological details of everything, because they were trying to get us on these transmissions years ago, and I think they've finally had an opportunity to just say, hey, look, we have an amazing product, give us a chance with this automatic. Now this is a
Yeah.
split street. I mean, what do you think, Mike? Do
Well,
you,
um,
because you've seen paddle shifts and other
it,
platforms, not just the new Z.
yeah.
We've had an opportunity and experience to check them out in the GTRs.
Hmm.
I've experienced that as an aftermarket option on some of the Infinity stuff. Um,
I had that 370Z for a while that was automatic. It was
with
the
the rev
automatic 7
match.
speed with the rev
Yeah,
match. It was impressive. I won't lie. I mean, it was nice. Now, of course, for those who and you mentioned it earlier, which I think was a really good phrase, which was that it's a generational thing, perhaps, where that engagement with the road. We say, "Oh man, there's no replacement for it." But when you talk to a lot of kids, younger people these days, because manual transmissions are less available, less of them have had a chance to be able to compare that feel, for one thing. But also, um, yeah, these aren't your granddad's transmissions. These are 9 speed, 10 speed,
I
you know,
know, it's
11
insane.
speed transmissions
That's
with
insane.
amazing, and they're obviously quicker than a manual transmission. So if you're asking for performance, well, you're going to go for the automatic transmission, because even on in a brochure, you're going to see those 0 to 60 times, lower than what you would see on a manual transmission model.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I think, yeah, the technology behind automatic transmissions has been a huge increase within the last 15 years,
yeah.
and
I,
yeah,
Yeah. And I
yeah,
would I
yeah.
would say, and I mean, Nissan did have a stumble patch, you know, damn near a decade ago. They had a stumble patch with some of these transmissions. They were not in their performance stuff, but on the lower end spectrum flagship vehicles. I mean, there was complaints, and we'll leave it at that. But I think that Nissan's taken a lot of opportunity to develop their transmissions as a whole, and
Hmm.
I think this is one of those opportunities for them to shine. So time will tell. We'll see what comes out in the mix, but I'm interested to just get behind the wheel of one of these days. We'll see if we ever get the opportunity.
Right on, man. Let's go for it.
So I got some news that's coming down, that we talked about the new Gran Turismo movie that is, s- if not, it's not already in your network, or your region. It's
Hmm.
soon to be dropped officially here on the streets. That is a drop and launch date of the 22nd, which is going to be next week. Officially, it will hit the market. Now, for those that haven't seen it or have seen the movie, it's undeniable to know that the star of the movie are the cars. One of the major cars that is in this movie is actually the GTR. Now, the
Yeah.
GTR that's actually in this film, heavily, was actually owned by Jan Mardenborough, which the movie is actually based off of loosely or yeah, roughly. So it was actually his 2014 GTR. If you've got the link, Mike, you can bring it up in the background.
Sure.
But it's a 2014 GTR that was actually owned by Jan, and then it was sent off to a company that ultimately redid the vehicle for its screen debut. Now, since the movie has come out, and right now it's I don't know if this is like a PR situation or what is going on with this, but normally when you have a movie that comes out, usually this movie, like actors, kind of go out on a road tour, and they are basically showing off this vehicle. It's going to end up in museums or dealerships or major publication events all over the United States or even abroad.
Hmm.
That's not the case with this vehicle. This particular vehicle is going to auction. I said it. So this vehicle, this 2014 Nissan GTR, is up for auction here fairly soon with a very high-end auctioneer called Iconic Auctioneers. They're going to be putting up the vehicle here pretty soon. You can actually check it out on their website. It's one of the lead vehicles that they've got going on right now. But again, this vehicle was featured in the film and used for as a film vehicle for a lot of that film. So again, if you have an opportunity and you've got the funds to go out and potentially throw your hat in the ring, as it were, take a look into it. But yeah,
Awesome, man. Awesome.
you'll be. Are you going to be throwing your money down on the table for that one, Mike?
A little too rich for my blood
Yeah, I
still.
was gonna say it's a little too rich for my blood, but I will say that it is pretty cool, to be that. I mean, if I was one of those rich like tech guys,
Yeah.
I'd go for it. Why not?
Do
Make it
do you
rain.
do you think so? I guess give an example. I'm thinking of like the Fast and Furious movies, the
Ooh,
franchise. A lot of the people who own those movie cars now are essentially celebrities in their own right, or you know, either even the guys who own the clones of them. They typically are asked for their cars to do appearances. Do you think this might be one of those cars? I mean,
yeah,
the
yeah, I
effect, the
do.
effect of this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, what's funny for the longest time, I mean, you and I watched Super GT when it came out. This was years ago, and then we followed these drivers, not only Jan, I mean, Ordonez, I mean, all those guys, High Cotter, Doherty, and I'm leaving out a bunch of guys. But
Mhm.
my point about this is the GT Academy was a while back, and I never thought that anything else was going to come of it. Sadly, I, I I hoped I was proved wrong, and I'm so glad that I'm proved wrong. That the movie is now made and going to be available for a new generation to check out. Because I really thought that Nissan had they were firing on all cylinders as it were when they dropped this Super GT Academy for PlayStation. It was a
Yeah.
great marketing tool. But then it just for I guess they didn't get what they wanted out of the situation or the results, and it just kind of went away. And Nissan was also having a lot of things that were happening at the time as an organization. But it feels like, hey, why don't we take advantage of this fame that we had? And we did some amazing things. Let's notarize that. And I'm so glad that the movie's out. And now that this movie's come out, this film, I mean, one of
Mhm.
the stars of the movie is the vehicle, and I'm so glad that it's available for somebody to purchase. But I kind of wish it would go on a road show, be available, be something that people could kind of um, have at events or have in museums and get some good photo opportunities. I'm sure that there's extras of this vehicle because there was quite a few in the movie.
Oh yeah.
But again, I am super excited that somebody's going to own this vehicle, and I wish them the best of luck. I wish I had the funds to grab it, but it is cool. But I think it is going to be one of those noteworthy vehicles and legendary vehicles that only the upper echelon can get. So,
I've said
how
it
much do you
once, and
think it's going to go for?
oh,
Let's be real here.
well, GTR alone. the spec that it is, or if it's especially the one that we're looking at here,
And it's in pounds. So
the
to even
preparation.
screw up your whole, not in yen, because our yens are, I'm better with pounds than I am yen. You see
Okay,
here. So don't do dollars. You know what? Do it in pounds. Just do
do
that.
it in pounds. Okay, so I'm gonna say that
Go on.
I'm gonna say between, let's say three. Let's say 300 pounds. Three and three
Three,
fifty.
350,000 pounds.
No, or I guess so. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying
Because
3 pounds
it's high.
is
Well, it's high because I've seen. Sorry, I've learned lately. I've learned a lot about the GTR market. I'll just say that, and much less the value and how, especially like in this economy, like even basic GTRs are getting the premium. Based on just either I wouldn't say scarcity, but they are a limited car.
yeah, they
But
are.
when it's prepared the way they are, and then you got to tack on where it's been filmed and used, I'm gonna say 300 plus pounds, 1,000 pounds.
So 300,000.
Yeah.
Well, starting auction for this thing is going to be up there. So guide price on, according to the auctioneer, is 225,000 pounds to 275,000 pounds.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, on the first hammer drop is at they're going to, I think they're starting out at 300,000.
Shut up.
300,000 pounds. Is
What'd I
I think
say?
you said three.
I
That's
said
what it's
300.
starting at,
Yeah.
from what I can tell from the
Okay.
website.
That's cool. I,
I think this is probably going to go shy of a million.
no, you think? Wow. All right, you hit it here, guys. Miles, I think it's we
A
gotta we
million.
gotta.
I'm going to say it's going to be just shy of £1 million.
Okay, I'm
Because a
writing it
million
down.
pounds for somebody to be like, meh,
All right, I've written it down. So you know what? We're going to catch
a
up on this
million
for the next
pounds in
episode.
dollars, no idea. Four
Say,
bajillion pounds. Who knows what that is? So, but
I thought you were gonna say 301,000 if we're going like the Price is
oh, we're
Right
gonna do the
style, you know.
prices right stuff. Okay, we're gonna go on. All right. So that again, that's probably the best Nissan news that we have that we need to share at this time. Let's go ahead and step into motorsports for our motorsports update. This is where we intro a segment where we look into Nissan's current motorsports portfolio, its race entries, supported teams, and an update on how they're doing. Mike, Formula E. It's been a minute since we talked about motorsports. Nissan is all over Formula E as they are every year. How are we doing this year? What's coming up?
So yeah, man, Formula E. I gotta say though, man, sadly, since the last time we had a motorsports update, we've missed 2 full weekends of racing for Formula E, and in fact, it was the last two
I was going to
weekends of
say,
this
yeah,
season.
yeah.
So yeah, we honestly, and I'll get into it. We did good. We had an improvement as a Nissan team. We finished better than the last time I reported this. So um, let me go ahead and get into it, man. There were 2 weekends that we missed. The first one was the race in the streets of Rome. And then just 2 weeks after that, it was London. That was the final 2 rounds of the 2023 season. So we'll because there's so much to cover, I'll try to be as quick as possible on this, though. But let's get into the first rounds. We're talking about Rome, rounds 13 and 14. We did bring some points to the team on that weekend. Again, this happened July 15th and 16th. Let's go ahead and start off with Norman Nato. In round 13, he qualified 11th and was able to finish 7th place. He brought home 6 points that day. And then when you follow up on the next day, round 14, this was a big one. He actually secured his first podium for the team this year at Rome. He finished 2nd place and brought home 18 points for the team, having started in 3rd place after qualifying. Uh, our other driver, of course, we're talking about Sasha Finestras. Round 13, qualified 3rd, finished in 10th, brought home 1 point for the team. And then the following day, round 14, qualified 22nd, did not do too well in qualifying for round 14, but he did have an improvement. Unfortunately, it did not bring us any points, but he did finish in 16th place. In total, when you tack on the amount of points these R2 drivers brought home at Rome, it was 25 additional points for the
Okay.
Nissan Formula E team, which was a good number. And again, if for those who have listened to us cover uh, the Formula E season, you know that, let's say, if you include these 2 rounds that we're talking about now, let's say the last 5 rounds we have seen a huge, I mean, I'm talking a significant jump in performance and finishing for the teams. I really think here in the last part of this season, the Nissan Formula E team really found their stride, and I can only imagine that they're going to continue that stride into the 2024 season. Again, it's the same car. We're talking about the Gen 3 car, which was all new for this year. Um, and we'll see more. Before I get ahead of myself, though, I do want to talk about the last 2 rounds. Of course, again, just previously, I was talking about the streets of Rome. 2 weeks later, we're talking July 29th and 30th. We were in London for rounds 15 and 16. We'll start off here with round 13. R2 drivers, again, Norman Nato qualified 10th, finished 8th place, brought in 4 points for the team. And Sasha Finestras at that same race had qualified 16th place. However, he did not finish with any points. He actually wasn't able to finish the race with that particular round. You get into the next day. Of course, this is the final round, round 14. Norminato qualified 3rd place and finished 4th. Again, another strong points. If you really look at these 2 drivers, though, Norminato seems to be, you might say, the A driver. I mean, when you look at the number of points that he's brought the team this year. 4th place at that race brought the team 12 additional points. Meanwhile, Sasha Finestras qualified 18th and finished 15th. Unfortunately, no points there. But for the last weekend, uh, we Nissan team were able to score an additional 16 points that weekend. So with that being said, as a constructor, the last time we talked about this, the Nissan Formula E team was in 8th place as a team. Out of 11 teams, they were 8th. Because of these last 2 weekends, or these last 4 rounds, let's say, they were able to improve and finish this season as 7th as a team or as a constructor here in the season 9 of Formula E. Again, the 2023 season is done. These were the last 4 rounds. Um, if you compare the teams finishing the standings for the team at the end of the year and you compare them with many of the seasons beforehand, um, these last few years have not really been as kind to them as, let's say, the first few years that the team has been involved. But I think there's been a lot of variables to that. And like I said earlier, when you see, the last 5 rounds take it, the amount of improvements that they've made, I continue to look forward to the 2024 season and see that that Nissan team improves. I would put money on it. They're gonna do way better than 7th position as a constructor in 2024 season. Um, I, I'll stand by that for sure. And if I have to eat my words, then let me know. But I mean, seriously, again, I'm just looking at the numbers, man, and the numbers speak to me, and I think it's true. So and now, when it comes to future episodes here on the podcast, we're not going to have much for Formula E until January. The 20 season 10 of Formula E begins in January 2024, and we will continue to give you guys an update as we get closer to that date. But in the meantime, if there's any updates to share, we will, but they'll mostly be team updates. Maybe performance changes, anything, maybe new livery that comes out. I know we did that just last January or so. Again, this was the first time we had these 2 drivers. Most of these drivers were new to the
Yeah.
Formula
It
E
was
or
a
to the
whole
Nissan
clean
team.
house and see what happens situation with Formula E when we went into it this year. But you know what's crazy is like Formula E, you're always first up. Your season starts way earlier than my season starts for Super GT when I kind of cover it. So,
That's
but
true. I think, and that's the thing. So I started first earlier. Now my portion seems to be
Now
wrapping up
you're
for
done.
now.
You got nothing to do for the rest of the year, and I gotta
I
work,
wouldn't
and you
say
just gotta
that, man.
watch me work.
I got GT to cover, and we'll get to that soon enough
All right.
here. But yeah,
Well,
yeah.
good review on Formula E. Super GT. Let's talk a little bit about that. Obviously, we are just in the middle of the season right now. Round four of Super GT actually just happened here recently. That was on the 5th and 6th of this month, August, and that happened at Fuji Speedway with some good results for Nissan. Let's go ahead and dive into that. So I'll go ahead and cover, like I always do, the 500 Big Boy Series, in which all the Nissan Z platform, or the Z platform, is being showcased this year. For those that aren't aware of it, we are fielding a lot of cars for the 500 series. Actually, there's four Z teams that are actually with, if I remember correctly, yeah, it's four Z teams with the 500 series. Now, round four of Fuji, let's see here, qualifying actually had a pretty good result for Nissan. First place for the top qualifier actually turned out to be car number 24, the Realize Advance Z. They actually ended up taking the day as far as qualifying there on
Mm,
Saturday. Fourth place, a little of a stumble down. We didn't quite finish in a 1, 2, 3 like we have this year. But fourth place, the number three, Nitera Motul Z. They actually had a really good results for fourth place, bringing in a few, figuring out a good position there in qualifying. And then we had a little bit of a spacing. 13th place, car number 23, the Motul Altec Z. If you're familiar, we had this big long pause from round four to round three, just because the way the season is kind of broken up, the summer break, if you will. But that particular vehicle suffered a very horrific accident
that's right.
around
That's
the right
right.
before we went to the summer break. So the team had an opportunity to ultimately reassemble that vehicle, a full construction, or create a completely new vehicle. But they still had to do all the shakedowns before we went into qualifying, and so they took that vehicle in with them to this. And for them to do that and still pull a result where they're still mid pack, that's not
Hmm.
bad, or a little lower than mid pack. So again,
Yeah.
13th place, car number 23. 14th place, my favorite. It's car number one. That's the Morelli Impul, formerly the Calsonic folks, but that's Morelli Impul Z. Went down to fourth place, 14th place, again in qualifying on Saturday. Now let's talk a little bit about Sunday for the 500 series. A completely different set of circumstances. The first place actually was taken by a Z. That was the Nitera Motul Z. Ended up taking the first place position for the day. They
All
took the
right.
win for the day. Yeah, they great results, and they fought off valiantly on NSX, and it's some great racing footage. We're having a little bit of a stumble for feed tonight and internet coverage, so we're not going to show you the video. But if you get an opportunity, I would go back and listen, go back and watch it. You can watch the entire 3 hour and change race that is available on YouTube. Nissan actually has a great a page that you can subscribe to, and they basically do their own summations. We usually put that on our Facebook page, which is also under some kind of weird release. It's in
They're in.
weird like POW camp right now. With
Yeah.
we're in Nissan jail because of something from back
Yeah.
from
Working
2022.
through it.
We're
Yeah.
working through it. We're hoping to be back through it. But my point is, you can go on YouTube, just type in Super GT 2023 round 3, 2, 4, whatever you want to do, and it actually has a really good 15 or 20-minute skit on everything that happened with Nissan, all the teams. And I highly recommend subscribing to that because those are great updates. Again, let me finish out where I was though. Race 500, a race in the 500 series. First place again, number three, Nitera Motul Z. Excellent race. Excellent fight at the end. 10th place, number 24, Realize Advan Z. Again, 13th place. They're about where they were in qualifying. The Motul Altec Z, again in 13th place. And at the bottom of the pack, Car number one, the Morelli Impulse Z. I know those guys are going to do better. They kicked some tail earlier in the season. I know they're going to do better as the team goes on.
Mm.
So again, let's talk about the 300 series in which all the GTRs are competing at this point. Qualifying, which again Saturday, the car number 11, Gainer Tanex GTR, ended up taking third place in qualifying. Next vehicle in the line that's going to be seventh place. That's number 10, the Ponos Gainer GTR, and then in 10th place, car number 56, the Realize Nissan Mechanic Challenge GTR, which is one of our favorites here
Yeah.
because great heart, great amount of experience on the team, great drivers. Those guys killed it last year. So they were the folks. They were our top choices for this season. But again, don't let this shake you off. Those guys come back hard. 15th place for qualifying, car number 360, the run up Riviera GTR. Um, that vehicle ended up taking 15th place. Now let's talk a little bit about race day. In the 300 series, again, a Nissan took top position, first
Ooh.
place. Car number 11, the Gainer Tanex GTR, the guy who took third in qualifying, ended up taking first for the race on Sunday. So they're doing great. They actually had another win here previously. I think it was round two. Quote me if I'm wrong. Anybody on the chat, you want to scold me for it? You figure it out. You let me know. My memory's not that great. Fourth place, car number 56, the Realized Nissan Mechanic Challenge DTR. Those guys jumped up from 10th place again in qualifying, fought the battle to get to fourth. If you would have given those guys three more
Ooh.
rounds, they probably would have given you third. That's how good they are. All right. Seventh place, Ponos Gainer GTR ended up taking that 14th. At the bottom of the ladder, car number 360, the run up Riviere GTR ended up in that position. So that is Super GT for round four that we just covered. There's another race that's coming up here on the 26th and the 27th. So two races in the month of August. That is going to be
Oh.
the 26th and the 27th. That's round five. That's coming up at Suzuka Circuit. Amazing circuit. It's
Ooh.
going to be some great racing. We'll obviously continue to keep you updated on the results of that. Again, I highly recommend subscribing to some of the YouTube channels. And again, that Nissan and NISMO the previews that they do from the team. Those are great amounts of coverage, a great amount of insight. So I would just highly recommend subscribing to those for the future. We'll obviously continue to keep you updated as we move through the series and continue to follow it. We got a round 8 series. This is just round 4. We're going into round 5. So we've got some time all the way until we finish out till the end of the year, which will be in November.
November. Okay. What we need to do, Miles, let's get those channels that you're mentioning to watch Super
Mhm.
GT. Let's put them in the show notes, and that way, for you guys who are curious about catching up and just kind of getting a taste of Super GT, trust me, you won't regret it. We'll put the links to those channels in our show notes, so take a look there, and
Absolutely.
yeah, let's do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, definitely do it. Let's talk a little bit about some homegrown racing, an actual Nissan event that we love to kind of talk about, which is the Nissan Challenge. It's actually takes place on the West Coast. So hopefully, I'm going the right direction. So happens the windows to the wall. Uh, so let's see here, Nissan Challenge. Unfortunately, right now they still have a little bit of a downtime. Their next race will be round 5. That won't happen until next month on the 17th. That will happen at Button Willow Raceway Park. You can continue to follow the Nissan Challenge. Again, we'll give you more notes at the bottom of this page, but you want to jump in on that if you get a chance. Edgar Furman, who jumped on with us a little earlier, or he's still on with us.
Yeah.
He's one of those amazing folks that put that event on. That is a mixed bag of everything that is Datsun, Nissan, and Infinity that you could ever want. They have cars out there that are as old as S30s. They got the brand new hot and heavy stuff that's just hitting the market. So everything's out there. And if you are in the California market and you're looking for a great race experience and a great race event that is pretty heavy with the Nissan brand,
Yeah.
I highly recommend you check out the Nissan Challenge. So
You're absolutely right, though, man. Again, having just met Edgar, we of course had him on the show before, him and John, but having just hung out with him in person at ZCON, such an awesome guy. Not only is he an organizer for the event, but he does participate. He's got a hell of a Z32 300ZX twin turbo that he competes with, and I won't lie, man. That car is very impressive.
It's nice.
Awesome, right? A wealth of knowledge, that entire team with the Nissan
Oh,
Challenger
nice.
series.
Edgar just chimed in here and he goes, there was a change to the schedule to include our days in November. That's for those that don't know, and Edgar said it here. It's the biggest GTR event in the US. And it's like ZCon for GTRs. I've been watching it online and through Instagram for a while now. And it is like, yeah, it'll bring tears to your eyes with the amount of shots that are out there. So for them to be part of that, that just tells you how they're up and coming as a brand and as a series. So yeah, for them to be involved, I want to give you guys a out there, Edgar and everybody who put all the work in on that, a huge congratulations on that. So yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Awesome, man.
Or it's going to be working on it, I should say.
Yeah.
So
Let's move into the next series that we typically like to cover. Of course, we're talking about the GT America series. This is a new series that we're covering this year, specifically because we do have some Nissan entries in the series this year. Now, we're going to go ahead and just begin with the team that the cars that we have been following, which are the new Z car and the GT4 segment of that series. They are competing this weekend. It's happening August 18th through the 20th at Road America in Plymouth, Wisconsin. This is actually the first race back for the GT America series, since you might call the summer break. You know, again, it's hot down here, it's hot everywhere. It's been a few months since the last track day, or since the last race, but we're back at it. It is back to racing. I believe there is a GT America race every month between now until, I think, is it October or November, I believe. So
Jesus.
uh, plenty of coverage coming up for you guys. So, but again, this weekend at Road America in Wisconsin, we're back to action again. Let's start with the GT4 series, and of course, we're talking about the uh, Tech Sport Racing team. We're rooting for them and their drivers. I do want to share my screen with that. Of course, we're talking about the number 22 and 23 Nissan Z cars. Number 22 car driven by uh, Eric Powell and Colin. Oh God, I had the last name. I thought I'd remember him. Anderson.
I thought you'd remember it too, but
I
here we are. It's fine.
Damn.
You know, we're just gonna call him
No, don't do that. But he's a great guy, man. Collins Harrison. Thank you, Myers. Thank you, Haley.
Haley saving
My
your man
ass.
once again. Yes.
Let's start again. Eric Powell and Colin Harrison piloting the number 22 Nissan Z car. And then, of course, we do have Brian Highcotter and Tyler Stone piloting the number 23 car for Tech Sport Racing and the GT4 series. We're rooting for them. This is now Thursday night. So we are when it comes to the GT schedule, the whole weekend schedule, today was essentially testing day. Tomorrow is practice. And then Saturday, Sunday, you have this combination of qualifying and racing. So, again, we just want to give props and a shout out to those guys and wish them the best of luck. The team has been hospitable to us when they came to COTA, and very, very helpful guys, very cool guys. So we definitely want to encourage them, be rooting for them for this weekend. Now let's get into some big news. Big news, though, and then for those who don't know how the GT America series, or you might call the SRO series, works, is that there are multiple classes, multiple types of racing happening on the same weekend. It's not just GT4. You actually have this is called it. There's a Toyota Cup there. There's a Touring Cup, which has various makes and models. But then you also have the GT3 category. So you have GT4, and then you've got GT3. Some big news coming in because of that, and this is actually really cool for us, Miles. Now, if you remember, in a previous episode, we had a really good chat with our friend Brian Locke with Valkyrie Autosports, based out of California. And since then, he kind of, if you remember though, he kind of talked to us just a little bit about something that was kind of in the works at that time. So essentially, what's happened since then has been some amazing news, and we're super excited for him. So since the last time we've spoken with Brian, essentially Valkyrie Autosports has partnered with CDR, which is Cyberdyne Racing. Not
Hybrid. I was
Cyber
like,
Dynamics Racing, and has become CDR Valkyrie. And here you can see on the picture here the logo. If you go to their social media channels, you'll see all of the news that they've shared since then. And so Brian Luck and the team are essentially at Road America at Road America as we speak, um, preparing for their competition this weekend in the GT3 races. Now, what are they racing with, you might ask? Let's go ahead and get into that. And again, competing with us is
ooh,
your GTR, your GT3 spec Nismo GTR, which again, if you remember that episode, Miles, we were talking a little bit about this car, and just I believe it's the only one in the country, uh, much less competing.
yeah, I would
It's a
say
very
I
amazing
would
car.
agree with you. From all the information that we have, this is it. This is the first out of the door in the country that I know of, unless somebody else has any information when you slap my hands. But yeah, this is it. If you want to see how this car is going to do in a competitive environment, which I'm sure it's going to kick major ass, yeah, this is it, folks. The number 66 with CDR Valkyrie. And we it's funny, we this just leaked to us recently. We didn't want to put anything out there if we could help it. We try to limit our postings and our Instagram excitement about it. But yes, this is very cool. And I remember us talking to Brian, and he was like, and he kind of alluded to like, oh, something might happen. We don't know, maybe. And we're super excited that this has spawned into what it is today. So these guys have a huge advantage on the field, and I think they're going to do great. I mean, look at this thing; it's amazing. I mean, this thing behind was one of their original GTRs, which was an amazing A's kicker to begin with. And look at this thing now. Look at that. That's just going to be.
Yep. The new livery has recently been added. Of course, this car has gone through numerous types of shakedowns and tests and tuning. Of course, it is continuing on as the team is currently at Road America, preparing for these races. From what I've been told, though, there's a lot of it's making waves. It's really great to see. A lot of teams are happy to see more JDM cars on the grid for GT3, which I I did look at this. If I looked at the grid of competitors for GT3 this weekend,
Mhm.
I think there's like 28 cars, at least on the sheet that I saw. 28 cars competing. Only three are Japanese manufacturer cars. Most of them are Astons and Porsches and whatnot.
It's
So,
nothing new. It's
so
nothing new for a Nissan to be a minority out there, and then for us to kick major ash, which is what we're going to do with this thing. Oh, and not to make you even more nervous, Mike Myers just kind of pumped in on here. She goes, "I've got some of the crew here from CDR Valkyrie, all listening
oh,
to make you even more stressed." So you got to say all the right stuff right now. So
hey guys, thank you for being with us. It's an honor for you to have you guys taking the time to listen in. I appreciate it so much. And
look, you just got
yeah,
red. You just changed a different pitch of red. So look at
yeah, yeah.
that. But we wish
What
you guys. Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
Sorry.
please.
What I was trying to say though is that not only is the CDR Valkyrie team carrying the flag for Nissan and Nismo with their GTR entry, but they're honestly carrying the flag for having two out of the three JDM cars, Japanese manufactured cars, on the grid this weekend. So I want to say that's a huge um, something to be proud about. I mean, there really are, for us just being fans of that. I definitely give them all the props in the world, and I really wish you guys the best of luck this weekend. I think it really is a proud moment to be a part of this, though.
So let's talk a little bit about the drivers. Are we getting into that?
Yeah. So, of course, the GT3 Nismo car number 66 competing in the GT3 portion of the SRO GT America Series. You have Amir Halim piloting this particular vehicle. Brian Locke is also driving. Of course, our friend is also competing. He is in the NSX here. I wish I both cars are essentially, of course, under this amazing setup that they have here, debuting here at Road America, and um, it's again just an amazing time. I believe the team has had amazing time. Of course, uh, uh, Haley is actually at uh, she. Haley Myers and Myers Motorsports is at Road America this weekend. They are covering the events, covering the event with the team. And for those who are curious, you can go through social media and learn more about the CDR Valkyrie team. You can go through the Instagram, also Facebook to get the latest results and even information, and honestly, just the fun that they're having in between practice and in between qualifying the race. I really think it's an amazing weekend for them all. And I think they're definitely sharing that through social media. So for those who are listening, check out CDR Valkyrie on social media. Like, subscribe, follow, do all the things to
Uh,
to be a part of it. Honestly,
And Brian, for I know you're listening right now. We're still going to give you the shout out. We hope you kick major ass in your car number 86, the Acura NSX GT3. So I know you're going to do well, man. Even though
yeah.
this is a hardcore Nissan show, we still love you. And you're even though you're driving an Acura,
He's a
we still
Nissan
love you.
driver at heart. We know
He's a
this,
Nissan
Miles.
driver at heart. It's not his fault that his
Yes,
badge is
he
wrong.
has Nissans
So
for sure. Yeah.
it's we still love you. So,
Of course,
but
Haley chimes in. Brian's beaming. Awesome.
of course, we always want Brian to beam it. It's when he's at his best, he's beaming. So. But yes, we can't wait for you guys to get a couple races in, and then of course, let us know how you're doing. We would definitely want to get an interview with you guys when you
Yes.
feel that you're up to it, and then whenever Haley frees you to the media to be able to be consumed by us. Yeah, let us know. We'd love to have you guys on again. We wish you guys the best of luck, and we're going to send nothing but positive energy your way. And you guys are just going to go out there and kick some ass. So again, kudos to both Amir and Brian and all the other folks on the team that are putting in all the long hours to get the great results that we know that you guys are going to get. So yeah, we love you.
Awesome, man. Again, guys, we'll be following you guys throughout the weekend, and in our next episode, we will definitely share the results from this weekend here at Road America, and definitely looking forward to seeing you guys at the future GT America races this season. We really look forward to
Yes.
seeing you guys. Yeah,
And take care of Haley. She's on loaner right now. So
give her a hard time for me. Yeah,
make sure you razz Haley as much as humanly possible. So yes, that'd be great. So we love you, Haley. Hope you're staying safe. And we know she's working hard. She does nothing but work hard. Take care of the Queen of Coda for us. So
absolutely. I will say, those guys, for those who are in the Wisconsin area, consider this your call to action. Of course, if you are within earshot of Plymouth, Wisconsin, you can get your tickets at the box office for you to come see the racing this weekend. I have the pricing here. The 3-day general admission cost, which is everything here, $80 for the weekend. Now, if you do want, let's say, a Friday pass only, $30. You get into Saturday and Sunday, about $45 for each day. So, again, it's kind of an a la carte type of thing. There really shouldn't be any excuse to not make it out there again, and again to see these cars in person, and to just all the smells, all the sounds and everything. It's just an amazing time. You owe it to yourself to
yeah,
take a
you
look
you don't know you want to be there until you're there, and then you're like, why did I never come to this? So yeah,
sooner.
call to action. If it's in your neck of the woods, make the trek, make the pilgrimage to get out there and check these out, and to root for the Nissan brand, and then of course for these folks over at CDR Valkyrie. So yeah, they're going to kick some ass. So
Yeah.
in other motorsports, we usually cover the Nissan Sentra Micra Cup that is based out of Canada. For those that don't know, this is a grassroots racing series, again, based in Canada. It's 6 weekends from May through September, exclusively Nissan spec Sentras, and then a Micro Series too as well.
Hmm.
This series basically kind of does a hard weekend of racing. It's actually two races compiled in each weekend. This just past weekend, I think it was August 4th and 6th, was round 5 and round 6 of the Central Cup. That was at Circuit de Trois Rivieras. And this is why Mike makes me do this, because he knows I'm going to stumble through it. And he likes to make fun of me when I'm done with this. But guess what? That's where it happened. I'll work on my French. I don't know if you want to buy me one of those
That's
language courses. We'll figure it out. But
what was the
yes,
Rosetta Stone, or
the
what would you
Rosetta
call them?
Stone.
We're
Yeah,
gonna get
we'll
you some
figure it
Rosetta
out.
Stone
So, but
on that
again, we
French.
want to make sure that we're giving proper support, the best of our ability, other than linguistics, to the Nissan Sentra Cup. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the results from the last Nissan Sentra Cup. Again, that was August 4th, August 6th. That was let's talk about the round 5. Alexander 14 actually ended up taking first place for this race. Now, if you've been following the series and you've also been following who your top racers were, Simon Charbonnois was actually one of the Charbonneau, my apologies, was one of the I guess the faces to be the win,
Yeah.
the leader, if you will, for this event, and that has not changed. But Alexander had a really good weekend. He ended up taking first place for round 5
Yeah.
and round 6 as well. And on round 5, Simon Charbonnois ended up taking second place. So he came in under Alexander for that race. So I had to understand that had to be a pretty crazy upset for him. But I will say that Simon ended up taking the fastest lap
Oh,
for round 5. Valerie Limoges, last year's winner, ended up taking third place in her car number 1. Now, round 6, Alexander ended up taking first place again, as we previously mentioned. Valerie ended up taking second place. Simon unfortunately fell the down the grid, but he ended up going into 8th place, third base being taken over by Nicholas Barrett. But Simon, being how he is, the amazing driver, ended up taking top lap
oh
for
wow.
round 6. Isn't that insane?
So for from whatever circumstances that caused him to finish eighth place, he still got best lap. He was able to claim that. I wonder. I don't know whether or not there's extra points awarded the fastest lap, but it's definitely a nice feather in the cap.
I
Yeah,
will
for
say
sure.
this: there's been 6 races.
Yeah.
Simon has claimed best lap of 4 of them.
I
And the other two, I
yeah
will say that third place, Nicholas Barrett,
yeah
ended up taking the other 2.
yeah
And this is out of a 6 round series. Isn't that
yeah.
insane?
That
It's
is
like
awesome.
the amount of just experience and
I
excellence. I mean, these guys piss excellence. I mean, that's just what it is.
I,
I mean,
I see two things happening too, because the names that you listed off, you know, I hear them often. So it's kind of like that crowd. It's no matter what race it is. I mean, it seems to be uh, a mixed bag of about three or four names that come in as your podium finisher. So you definitely have some dudes that are apparently just great drivers, a consistent driving.
isn't that crazy though? It's like it's just I don't know. It blows me away that and we see the same names all the time. We've been following this for since kind of its inception.
Like 2 or 3
And
years now,
what
yeah.
2 years, 3 years? It's his
Hmm.
third season. Is that right?
For us, anyway, it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
probably third
yeah.
season. Yeah. So, but we've been trying to follow it again. You can continue to check out the Nissan Sentra Cup. I usually get all our information through the centralcup.com. They do have some YouTube videos that are starting to trickle in, so I would highly recommend getting on their page, subscribing to it as well. We'll try to drop that in the shop notes, in the show notes at the bottom when we're done here with the episode, and put it up for public consumption on YouTube. But again, it's a great racing series. It's a spec class series. The competition and the level of competitiveness is pretty high as a bar, and then it's just margins. I mean, so small on the margins for these folks to win, but you still got the same cream rising to the top, brother. But yeah, again, kudos to all those drivers who are continually killing it and being highly competitive year after year in that series. So we'll continue to give you updates as we move forward with coverage on that. I don't know if the season's over already. Was it a
No,
six round? I don't think it is.
no.
Let's
There's
see.
I think there's a few more to go. Their season started later in the
Yeah,
year.
you're right. It was
Yeah.
round six. It's a 12. Hold on. Meow, 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 meow. Yeah, it's a 12 round series. So we still have a bit to go. So this is actually going to carry us all the way. There's another race coming in August 26th. That's round seven and round eight. That is going to be at Complex iCar location. And see here. And then we, of course, got the final round, which will be Circuit Mont Tremblant. That'll be in September, the end of September. So we'll keep you updated, let you know who the final winner of that series will be. We'll see if Valerie will be back on top or if Simon, Mr. Best Lap, is going to be up there. I don't know. It depends on
This
the points.
this is this is gonna this is gonna be silly, super silly of me though. But when you say what was the last track again? Mont Treblanc.
Mont Tremblant.
I keep on hearing Matt LeBlanc, which is like Joey from
It
Friends.
is. It's at his house. Jesus Christ, Mike. Come
I'm
on.
sorry. Yeah,
Come on. Get your
that's
head in the
a
game.
squirrel moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So let's see here. Now, it's a while since we've had an opportunity to actually BS. I mean, with this whole show, we kind of BS a little bit,
It
but
is.
we never really get an opportunity to kind of do our special segment piece of it. Now, usually we pick one or the other. Either we're going to, hey, this is things you should be checking out, or there's a shut up and take my money,
Back alley
or we're going to
chat.
do a back alley chat. We kind of do a mixed bag of different stuff. In this particular case, we're doing a little trial and error, if you will, and we're going to do two different things. And so that is going to be us just having a little diarrhea mouth about both of these things. So the first thing I wanted to go ahead and do was things you should be checking out. Now, the things that you should be checking out are anything from magazines or movies or something on it that we feel that you should check out or maybe support because there's going to be some brand notoriety in there, or it's crucial to the community or the import scene as a whole.
Mhm.
So the thing that I thought that people should be checking out is something that just dropped on Motor Trend TV. Now, for those that don't know, Super Street has been a magazine for the import scene for many years. They haven't always been the heaviest of Nissan content early on. They were primarily a big Honda boy kind of magazine that we would just kind of jump on. But I will say, over the years they've evolved. And they do have a lot of Datsun, Nissan, and Infinity coverage to date. If you still are a person that is picking up tangible magazines like myself. Unfortunately, that is still one of my addictions I cannot get rid of. I still buy loads and loads of magazines and have subscriptions.
Mm.
But the evolution has finally come around. Motor Trend TV has finally got wind that, hey, there are tuners out there, there are import folks that want to see a show. And Super Street has finally come around and created their own show called the Super Street Garage.
Okay.
So currently, right now, they're in their first season. And I believe as of right now, we've only had two episodes. Well, actually, I apologize. We've had three episodes that have aired to date. There is some Nissan coverage that's in there, but I will say that if you're an import fan as a whole, or you're a nostalgic import person, and I would highly recommend checking out the show. I've the two hosts that are hosting this show, John Naderi, Nads, if you will. He's been with Super Street and been in the publication for import tuning. Um, for a very long time. I've seen
Yeah.
his name around for a long time. He's all over the place. He's authored a bunch of articles. But again, Nads, he was the editor in chief for a long run with Super Street, and
Mhm.
ultimately moved on to be a host on the Super Street Garage. His co-host, the gentleman in the glasses just above me, is Amir Bontato. He is actually an amazing driver with Time Attack. He basically is a Time Attack legend in his world. He actually comes from RS Future Dynamics, a huge content writer too, as well, from what I remember. Um, the two make a really good pair. Nads is more of um, is just a very nostalgic piece that I like to could just agree to. Um,
Mhm.
he if something looks right or fits right or just has the right stance or it's historically appropriate to the vehicle as far as like a nostalgic build or he has the eye, and that's
Mhm.
one thing that I love about his piece of it. Amir, when they do a combination of like restoring classic import cars,
Okay.
having a piece of history involved to it as well, and they do a lot of throwback to historic import tuners that either are in existence or not in existence. And that's just something that you're not going to get with a normal show. Like
Yeah.
if you say, I don't know, somebody else tries to put something like this together, they're not in that world. So they'll
Okay.
just say, hey, we've got this particular Nissan or a 350Z, and then these are the wheels straight from blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
they're these garbage and they're just kind of throwing it on there. These guys are not messing with that. These guys are heavy, heavy purists,
Yeah.
and they are very much role models of the scene. That's why
Mm.
I think you should be checking out Super Street Garage. I've watched the last few episodes. Me and Ion have nerded out through this, and we've kind of been messaging each other and watching the episodes. And Mike, we need to get you woke on it.
You
But if
do.
you get
You
a
do.
chance, and get your Motor Trend subscription for Christ's sakes. Um,
Well. Mhm.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
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 But I will say this: if you get an opportunity, again, if you got your Motor Trend subscription, or you just want to check out some of the little teasers that are out there on YouTube, I highly recommend checking them out. Again, continue to support the import magazines that support the community and ultimately support the Nissan Infinity brand and Datsun brand for that matter. So, again,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Now, when you said that they were purists and educated, it kind of made me think of So what do you think's better, a Guy 13 or a Guy 24? One of those guys, you know? No.
Such a nerd. Uh, but I will
Yeah.
say though, these days, the printed magazine is slowly kind of going away. I mean, the sport compact car, the turbo magazines, the performance auto and sound, those are things that I kind of grew up with along with the forums. Forums are starting to go away as far as a great source of information. I will say legitimately, this this series is a great source of information. Like sometimes you watch a show and you're like, man, how did they do that? Or is that this particular part, or is that a true, you know, from this manufacturer?
Yeah.
They're nerds. They're just like us. I mean,
Mhm.
some of this is going to be some Honda stuff, some Mazda, some Toyota stuff thrown in there, Subi stuff. And that's just going to be par for the course. But the
Mhm.
stuff, it's still an education
Okay.
nonetheless. I'd highly recommend checking it out.
That's cool. And so two questions I have. One is, was Motor Trend also where we saw the JDM Legends show, or was that
So and I'm just going to give you a little schooling on the Motor Trend subscription. I am a
okay?
huge Motor Trend subscription person. I
Yeah.
bought in pretty early, and I love, like, even though it's not import based or it's not Nissan based, I love the roadkill shows. I love the way that they're shot. But the Motor Trend bought a lot of the pre-existing shows that were out there. So it's crazy. You can actually go back and look at some of the old um, JDM Legends show. It's all on there. It's all on Motor Trend. So you get it as part of your
Okay.
subscription if you want to go and check it out. There's Nopi Nationals stuff that's on there.
Wow.
If you know what I'm talking about, maybe you're a new kid, I'm speaking a different language, but there's Nopi Nationals from tuning events in its heyday. This is like post Fast and Furious, the first one when it dropped.
The
It
first.
blew up the scene, and there was
Ooh.
like shows all over the damn place. There is so much content in there that is archived, that if you just go digging through their libraries, there is a lot of stuff. And I have been digging for a while, and I'm still have not hit bedrock. So that tells you you're getting a lot for your money if you want to just nerd out on the library. So just go in there and type search Datsun, and you're gonna get.
Mhm.
I mean, you're gonna get 100 hits, and it's all content and video stuff that you can watch. So with that combination, plus the pre-existing shows that are on there that are pretty damn good, and
Yeah.
then of course Super Street Garage, now with the addition in there. I mean,
Yeah.
I, I highly recommend it. Get. I've given you all the tools for making the right purchases in your life.
Okay.
So go ahead and do that. Ion just chimed in. He goes, one thing I really do appreciate our online articles filled with associated photos. And it's sort of the evolution of the magazines. And I would agree with Ion 100%. It feels like they're still making a magazine, but for people that can't read. So no, it's just for the I would say I'll take that back for the new Instagram generation that's
Culture
kind
or
in the
generation.
culture,
Yeah.
and
Delivery
for that
system.
kind of thing. Like, and I'm a nerd. I'll read the magazines. I'll fact pick, and I'll really look at that stuff. And
Yeah.
but again, I would highly agree with Ion said. Ion chimed in one more because he's so excited. He goes, let's see here, meow 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 meow. Let's see here. One thing I really appreciate, again, another thing about the description is seeing a lot of the historical content, which there is, and there's a bunch of new content that isn't on normal cable or whatever you got. And I would agree. Like normally, it's just you're a slave to the sponsor, or they might have these are pretty hefty run times. These aren't 22 minutes. They're like, I think they're like 35, 45 minute plus.
Hmm.
I mean, I've been watching them consistently on rewind, and I mean, they're good. They're just shot well. And I highly recommend checking them out. I think it's only going to get better. So.
Badass. How? What's the best way to find the Motor Trend channel? Now, is it through? I thought I saw it through Amazon at one point,
I would
or
say hunt for the deals because Motor Trend does do a pretty good deal around. I remember they had an amazing deal around Black Friday. I mean, don't you
oh,
can wait all that time if you want to, but there was a Black Friday deal that came out. It was like $1 for like the first 6 months or 12 months, and then
wow.
after that it just goes to regular pricing. And it was like so cheap, but you got everything for. And here I am selling Motor Trend, right? But you got the online app. You've got the access to the entire TV series through Prime, and then I think they backlog their magazines too as well. Digitally scan them, so you could actually read old publications that they have now purchased. You can scan through the magazine pages, so you don't have to actually buy the physical tangible things. Some of the roadkill stuff is in there, like, so
Oh.
if you want to nerd out on some of that stuff, like if you're, I don't know, you're interested in like LS stuff, or you're really
Hmm.
interested in some of the swaps that they've done, or anything from the show. But again, I just think it's a good purchase. There's not a lot out there that solely takes care of the car nerd in that way, and this is one of those things. This is like one of those things that I'll never probably kill on my subscription list. So
Cool. Cool, man. Yeah, I will have to go ahead and subscribe to. Maybe I can find a special, but either way, I need to subscribe to that. I think it'd be a lot of
It's
fun.
good. I mean, it's and I put it back in the background when I'm in the. I mean, along with this show, I put it on the background in the garage, and people come over. And they're like, "Damn!" I was like, "You got a lot of auto shows on here," because I used to buy all these DVDs, these
Th-
option. Oh,
Yeah.
and if you didn't know, all the option DVDs, some of that stuff is on Motor Trend. Motor Trend bought a series of those. I think the ones that went to DVD. I could be wrong. Anybody nerds out or wants to quote me wrong, but there is option DVDs on there. So there's actually like
Wow.
some of the ones that came out like 10 years ago when the 350Z released, and they were racing it against the old S30 and the 350Z or the 370.
Oh,
It's all in there, and it's like the whole DVD is like scanned and it's in there. So again, there's tons of stuff in there. You just got to go hunting. I'm telling
got
you,
to
the
go hunting
library
for it.
is massive. So anyway,
Awesome,
Ion
dude.
said, "Come join us, Mike." So yeah,
One of us.
one
It's just
of
like one
us,
of the drink the
one of
Kool
us.
Aid.
Drink
All
the
right,
Kool
yeah.
Aid. Right. So that is my things you should be checking out. Now, you wanted to do a shut up and take my money. We haven't done one of those in a while,
Yep.
and you found an amazing product that we've been nerding out for, in the Z32 community for a long time about. So
Yes.
go ahead.
So yeah, let me preface all of this by saying there has been an it seems to have been an ongoing saga for the Z32 300ZX guys. Specifically, it probably affects most the twin turbo guys, and this has to do with what's called a uh, there's a performance mod that you do. You buy this particular product, and you know when you feed the air inlet that goes to the turbos, you have it essentially tees off in the center. You have one intake filter that essentially feeds both turbos. Somewhere, let's say a long time ago, you someone discovered that well, if you break that up, get rid of that T and have two individual filters that you can get
You split the
huge
signal.
performance. You split
Correct,
this
but you
right.
need to split the
Well,
signal with two maps.
well, in the beginning, it wasn't like that. Remember the old
It was a dummy.
Epexi? Yeah, you had a dummy because the whole problem with this is that you have a mass airflow sensor there at that T, right? So when you go along and you start having two air filters,
You got
then
too much
you're
air, and the system doesn't understand because you got too much air, and it wants to shut the whole thing down.
yes, the computer spazzes out because it's not reading as much mass airflow as it
Right.
should. So in the beginning you had a little field trim. Remember the old Apexi AFSC or what was it called?
I remember. I still
Uh,
have them in the. You know
the
me. I have
the
every
old
tuner nerd box still in the
yes.
garage.
So you had that in the beginning. You had this particular box, and you had to do some pretty extensive wiring and
Explain it.
soldering connections to make that all work. And then somewhere along the lines, there was a company called Cellin, which essentially simplified the process with more of a, let's just say, more of a plug and play option, which was a signal splitter of sorts that essentially allowed you to have both mass airflow sensors at that point, but they shared a signal, essentially allowing the computer to do what it needs to do. And I remember when that product first came out, you would see easily, without a tune, without anything, just a plug and play, easily another 30 horses to the wheel,
Correct.
just because of that additional airflow that you're giving the
I
engine,
think
that
it's
you're
more than
giving the
that, man. The real
turbochargers.
limiter for that vehicle was around 500, 550. I mean, you saw guys reaching for it. Once the splitter came out, it really
Yeah,
kind of lifted the bar for a lot of stuff,
yeah,
other than those guys that were going to full standalones
yeah,
and trying that.
yep.
That went to a map system versus the MAF system.
That's right. You had
So
you had that map
but the
pressure.
MAF,
Yeah,
but the map system at that time, it was crazy chronologically because the map that was coming out, these were all early versions, and they were okay. I mean, they were doing the job, but guys were having problems with them. The ECUs weren't living up to the expectations, and before that, it was piggyback systems that were doing their damn best. I'm looking at you, greedy manage, but they were doing the best that they could to try to keep it together.
yeah,
And here is this new product that comes out, and it really is an amazing product at the
yeah,
time when the Cellin translator came in
yeah.
and split the signal with no problems. I mean, it was a piece that held up to a lot of abuse, and it was in front of the vehicle. It was in the wind. It was in the rain, the elements, and
Yes.
um, and it was highly constructed out of really durable plastic. It was resined over, and it was all very good wiring that was placed into it. All the
Yeah.
connections were solid, and it was
Yeah.
an amazing clip over options. And I'm nerding out. I'm just saying,
Well,
but it came out. But here's the rub.
yeah. Sorry, before I do that, is that you did mention a good point. Of course, we're talking about these 300ZXs. Their ECU system is very primitive. It was still of
OBD1.
the OBD1 system, right? So in terms of options and even tuning to this day, I mean, granted, it's definitely possible, but like you said, especially at the time, 15 years ago, you were doing these hack, piggyback systems. So, right. So there was a huge advantage that literally, like, again, it was a plug and play option essentially to get your car some really good horsepower. And again, and that was just the beginning. Once you started getting into some tuning, I mean, it really opened up uh, for way more performance with that particular with that cell-in translator. So that's the history lesson, right? That's where we were years and years ago. Now, to where we are now, um, let's just say for the last, might I say, 3+ years, this company, Selin, has essentially limited its production or damn near just stopped making these translators. And the Z performance world, the Z32 twin turbo performance world, they love these things. They're, again, they provide so much benefit, and in this thing, they were reasonably priced. I mean, they're around a $300 price point at the time when they were readily available. These translators were about 300 bucks, give or take. And because Selin kind of decided to discontinue, and I don't know any reasons why, I don't know anything about it, but these supply was drying up. And of course, we know what happens with supply and demand. Once supply starts to dry up, and the market is suffering and there's such a demand for these things, prices start to skyrocket. So I want to show you, literally, this is a live search through eBay for that particular module. And if you could see this, these are used translators, again, selling for give or take $300 range, new when they were plentiful. And now you're on eBay getting a used model for, what is this, $1,200, man? $1,000 for a kit. I mean, you might find one at a bargain for $900. This is absurd, man. Again, and this has been going on for, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say years, man. This is
It's probably been like 2 years of good. Well, COVID, right? COVID about the time
okay.
when they dropped out, and then the market was just dying for them. I sat on three of these for the
I know
longest
you did.
time, and I kept them. And I was like, nobody's ever going to make splitters or something like this ever again. So I kept what I wanted. I kept them up until recently, and I've sold two of them, and I kept one for myself
Yeah,
for my TT project, and let it go because the money was just crazy, like for them.
it's too
And
good.
I honestly I didn't need them, and I was starting to clean house. But you're right. I think I sold both of mine for about $1,200 to $1,400 a piece.
Isn't that awesome? So yeah, so
S-
that's sort of where we as
Are
enthusiasts
That's
have
where
been.
we are today.
Yes,
Still.
we're still in this. We're still in that rock and a hard place, having to yeah, let go of such a large amount of money
So you're
for
trying to
wanting
sell
to
me
get this thing.
something. Sell me something.
Yes, I am. So in the last week, I'm browsing social media here, and someone came across this, and I was like,
Disco
What
potato.
is this?"
No.
Uh, I might call it the disco box. Is that what it's called here? I don't. I mean, so obviously we see a logo here. It looks a product here, a nice sticker, and of course we see Z1 Motorsports, and this is where, from what I've learned, uh, obviously because there has been such a demand for so long, and I'm talking years again, Z1 has come up to bat and essentially has rescued this market, and to resolve this strong demand, and they're supplying their own version of a translator. And so, of course, this is very much a sneak peek. They're calling it the dual input single out, what dual input single channel output. The acronym DISCO. Disco Box by Z1 here. Um, Sounds pretty fun. It sounds like a party to me, you know. And again, for what it gives you, hell yeah, it's a party.
Well, the
So,
beautiful thing about the original Cellin, it would give you the opportunity of going from a single intake system to a dual. So, I'm curious. Like, does this unit? It sounds like it's there to split the signal, but and then it had the option. So let's
so
talk a little bit about this. I'm assuming you reached out to your kinfolk over at Z1, your previous employer, and got some insight on it.
I,
What'd you find out?
I did reach out to try to get some information about it. So yes, obviously because of this need, this product offering again, and this is very much still in the beta testing.
Oh, okay.
These are still testing phase. As you can see in this picture, for example, the mounting bracket is 3D printed still. That kind of gives you an idea of
It's
where
fine.
they're at currently. But it's very very much in the pipeline to become an actual product that will be plenty with it plenty available. There's going to be a steady supply of the
Plentiful.
plentiful product once this thing is released. So, but you're right. What I did, I went ahead and reached out to my buddy Spencer at Z1 Motorsports, and I asked him, "Hey, man, what do you can you give me anything on this? You know, what's going on here?" And so he did. And again, I'm so thankful. Shout out to Spencer for talking with me about this, though. But essentially this thing is a real product. It's under testing. He says that the boards, harnesses, much of the tech operations have been completed, and as you can see here, this is a testing product, so they're in testing right now. Once they feel that the testing phase is successful and have all the evidence that they need, then it'll go into production. So they want to be sure that there's not any issues or any challenges. He said this is going to be a great plug and play device, which shouldn't have any interference issues that we saw with, for example, with selling. This was really, really cool. The amount of research that they're doing. So think about this, Miles. The 300ZX was always a halogen headlights, right? Most options were, and a big thing, a big upgrade or something that people like to do are what HIDs, LEDs, and of course, doing those you have like ballasts, these big bulky. There are a lot of things that are going underneath that nose panel or behind the headlights to accommodate all these aftermarket products, and so what Z1's doing is taking all of that into consideration to find you the best mounting position for this thing, and also allowing space for all of the other uh, devices and products that you have, kind of sharing that same space. So they're putting a lot of thought into this product for sure. They said here that once these do go to market, they should be steadily available. It says that we look forward to. That's something that we can all look forward to. He's saying that he teased this. He goes, "There's a lot more to it than just being a signal converter." He goes, "There's future capabilities that this device might offer," and honestly, it was kind of cryptic. So I have no idea what that means, but again, knowing the Z1 Motorsports guys as well as I do, I mean, I see it as being perhaps other options, additional options that this device, this product will provide you. So,
Hmm.
for those of you in the 300ZX world, definitely start saving up now. This thing should definitely solve that demand, but not only that, just provide even features you didn't even think you needed. I mean, they're
Yeah.
they're they're definitely being very innovative with their thought process here.
Yeah, very cool. But again, let's make sure that we're giving a shout out to the man that did this all in the first place, Mr. Jim Sellen and over at Sellen. Those guys did a great job early on
Yeah.
with, without that product, this wouldn't exist. But again,
Yeah.
I'm super excited about this disco unit that's coming out because it really the market does need it. I want to chime in here. Edgar actually made it a point. He goes, "There's a pretty good reason as to why the Sellen units they are no longer being produced. From
Mm.
my understanding, Jim Sellen ran into long-term COVID health issues and prioritized his health over production of Sellen
Oh,
units.
wow.
Unfortunately, it seems like this will keep lingering." That's unfortunate.
I had no idea.
Yeah, Jim, I had an opportunity to talk to him about his products when I was utilizing them for a tune years ago, and he was a very informational, very nice guy. I do hope his health returns. If he does start making the boxes, let us know. We'll definitely make sure that we're giving the appropriate shout out for those two as well. But again, a shout out to Z1 for filling the need for the market, because I will say one thing, there has been a gap that has definitely been needed for it, as we can tell by some of this price gouging that's been kind of going on for a while
Ah, yeah,
in the market. So, again, double-edged sword here. We hope Gillum is doing better, and we hope he gets back on his feet and putting out some products. Again,
yeah.
competitive edge to Z1 for putting out the product, and listening to all the folks that needed to get this on their hands. So yeah,
That's true. Yeah, again, yeah, not knowing much about gyms, I had no idea. But again,
yeah,
yeah,
neither did
of
I,
course.
until this. So I assumed he
But
had moved on
but
to a different product, because I know he was involved in other motorsports aspects and other tuning aspects. So I assumed he
mhm,
ultimately moved on to something else. But great for the insight on it, Edgar. If you do talk to him, let him know that we send him our best wishes. So.
uh, that works. And then of course, going to Z1, shut up and take my money, man. I think
Yeah, they're always going to continue to make some great stuff. So kudos to them. Let's rush into events so we can finish out close as we can to the
home
2 hour
stretch here.
mark. So events coming up, we've got Branson Z Fest, the pumpkin spice. For those that don't know, this is their cooler time of the year event to go check out. That is coming up here September 21st through 24th. You can check that out via bransonzfest.org. We highly recommend going to that event. It's
Yep.
a very more relaxed version of Branson Z Fest. Great, great driving experience, great lodging experience, and the folks that are there are going to make you feel like family. Some
Yeah.
of the guys that put that on are some of the best in my opinion, within the Z community or the Nissan community as a whole. So
Absolutely. I mean, again, for those who want to go to the website, bransonzfest.org is where you want to go. And that's primarily just to see the schedule and to get the link and register at the hotel, because there is no registration. You don't have, all you do is show up. There's no need to pay anything. Really, it's so low key, it's so relaxed. And because it's in essentially weather should be cooling off by then.
yeah,
You're in, you're in Missouri essentially. So,
less
a little
fires.
at least relative to where we live, right? It's
Yeah,
definitely better, and
it's
it should
definitely
be a
better.
really good time. Yeah.
What else we got coming up, Mike?
Yeah, the other event that we want to share with you guys is also happening in September. This is specifically September 29th and 30th. Of course, we're talking about the 2023 Z Nationals hosted by Z1 Motorsports. I want to say this is easily I want to say we're getting close to 20 years with Z Nationals. I mean, I know it's well past 15 for sure, but again, Z1 Motorsports hosts Z Nationals. This is a 2-day event happening around the Atlanta area, and I'll explain that because the first day is a track day. And for this year, we will be north of Atlanta. You are at Atlanta Motorsports Park for that Saturday. They have essentially rented out the track, so you have a full blown track day ran by the team there. There is a host hotel. I don't believe it's not too far from there. And then you get into day two, which is the car show, which is hosted at the Z1 Motorsports headquarters in Carrollton, Georgia. And that is about 45 minutes west of Atlanta. So, again, for those who haven't seen the Z1 headquarters, it's an amazing renovation that they've made here in the last couple years, especially during these events. They're able, they partner with a lot of sponsors and other influencers and celebrities and drivers that are really carrying the Nissan flag, and they'll bring in those cars with those notable cars and builds and race cars liveries to be on display during that entire car show. So again, znationals.com is where you want to go. The big thing, and this is a first for Z Nationals, and I really have to emphasize this though. This year is the first time that Z1 is actually giving away a new Z with $20,000 on top. And then also, as part of their off-road division, Z1 Off-Road, they are giving away a Frontier, modified Frontier, also with $20,000 included as part of that giveaway. Now, the way that you register and become eligible, your entries for these giveaways and raffles, is to go to the website, make a purchase, and with each purchase you make, depending on what they are, they have a certain number of entries related to those
Mm.
purchases. So personally, I'm entered. I've had a few that I've been a part of probably since springtime. Miles, have you bought anything from Z1 in the last 9 months or so? 6 months?
Yeah, actually, a few things. I've had to buy some nuts and bolts customers' cars, so I've had to pick up a couple things. So yeah, definitely.
Odds are you are also entered into this
I can't
competition.
wait. I don't even know what I'm gonna park this Frontier. So
Modified Frontier, and then
I'll
again
park
they
it
have the
next to the other
modified Z car.
Frontier. Yeah, I can't
Yeah,
wait. Yeah,
the Z car is modified as well, and h- the modifications are nuts. I believe it is that 600 horsepower Z car, new Z that
that's
they're raffling
crazy.
off. So
That's nuts.
it's a hell of a promotion. And again, the only way you really enter for that raffle is to make a purchase. The bigger the purchase, the more entries you get. But it is being raffled off at Z Nationals, to the best of my knowledge here. Um, an amazing time again in this event. Again, put together by a great team of guys at Z1. So definitely encourage you guys to see them. And to again, if you are in the Atlanta area, go check it out.
Will do. Well, that's going to wrap up everything for this episode of the Nissan Nerd Podcast. Again, we want to remind you if you could please like, share, subscribe. Our Facebook page right now is a little on the fritz. We're
Yep.
again in Facebook jail, as it were.
Still trying to sort that out though, but our Instagram is live and it's where we're directing most of our notifications. And then also through YouTube. For those who are with us, live streaming with us, you're watching us through the YouTube channel. While you're there, click on the subscribe button and also get some notifications. So we do this show typically every 2 weeks. So if you want to want to be notified and not forget about us, go ahead and do that now. And then for those who are big on Instagram, go ahead and find us, Nissan Nerd Podcast. Do that search, you'll find us. And typically, Miles, we're pretty good at notifying people a few days before each episode.
We
We'll
are. We
provide you
do our
that link in
best. Yeah,
advance.
and we definitely send you the links, and you can be part of the show and join us live, like most folks do, or
Yep.
some folks do. So, again, if you have anything too that you need us to know about, you can send that over to info@nissannerd.com. So, if you've got events that you want us to talk about, we don't charge anything for that. We want to make sure that we're putting that out for the community. Again, that's what we're here for. So if you've got a good human interest story that we need to know about, maybe a vehicle or some products that we need to know about here for the community, let us know. Or if you've got a new business that you want to that you want to put a little bit of a light on, that's what we're here for. We do not mind promoting that. Again, you can send that into info@nissannerd.com. Just let us know how we can help and get you known amongst the community. Just let us know. But that's
Great. Yeah.
everything that we've got here for an episode of the Nissan Nerd Podcast. Mike, you have anything else?
Not at the moment. How much you got left in your
I
cup
got
here?
I got a little, man. It was a long episode,
It
so
is. You got enough for a compi?
I do think I have a little bit for a compi. So, again, I wanted to give a shout out to everybody on with us here tonight. Again, thanks to Edgar, John, who joined us, Mr. Pop Sergia. Thank you for joining us here.
Yep.
You're going to have to go back and listen to the episode now, John. You have to go to YouTube. Ion, Haley, Brian, all those guys listening in here
Yes.
for us tonight. Let me see here.
JLE's with us. Justin's with us.
JLE who jumped in here with us tonight. Trying to remember who else jumped on with us. Christina from Skillard, she jumped on with us here tonight too as
Right.
well. A shout out to her. If I'm missing anybody, my apologies. Justin as well. Good job. JLE in the back of the bus, riding silent. Let's see here. But
We
again,
have, of course, Brian Locke and the CDR Valkyrie team with Myers.
yeah.
Taking a look. If you're still with us,
Yeah, and
thank you for
again,
being with
thank you to
us.
everybody being on with us. Again, until then, I want to tell everybody: get in your garage. I like you better in your garage. Make something cool.
All right, guys. One more time. We'll see you another time. Ganpai.
Bye. That's it. I'm done. I'm blank.